Tim Ellis, welcome back to the show.
Dave, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
I'm always happy to see you. Very excited about Nukes. I know everybody watching or listening and everybody in Audible Interlude land has been seeing Nukes all over Instagram. Huge props for your promotion on this.
Thank you.
And we're going to dig deep into it. But first, last time you were on the show, we were talking about this incredible project, and we got to follow up because things are moving along with. Let me get the full picture. I think there we go. The Eagle 1976. This massive, gorgeous. Actually, anybody listening right now, check out Giant Leap. Or not, actually, I think this might have been on the Zyka Toys account.
Yeah, this is on the. You can go to zykatoys.com,
and
you can see them.
There's a shot of Ace holding it.
Yeah, that's on our socials. Yeah,
and it's massive.
Yeah.
So where are we with this big boy?
So here's what's going on. We were initially, when we started this, Craig and I, in the conversation, we were shooting for hopefully Q4 of this year. Okay, calendar Q4, right? So we were coming along. Things were going fine. All our test shots were doing well. There's a little bit of a hiccup that happened when the tariff thing started happening. Yeah. I don't understand the politics of it. I don't understand the financials of it and everything. But needless to say, a lot of what happened was people who could go ahead and book factories and get production accelerated did that. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of pushed us back a little bit. But having said that, with the tweaks that we have left to make before we get into final production, we're still looking at a Q1 of 2026 delivery. So we'll have this in hand and out to the customers before Chinese New Year of 2026.
I mean, that's pretty fantastic because we've talked to enough people here on the show, enough independent toy creators to know about delays and how they happen and how really inevitable they are at this point. I think everybody understands when you're a smaller company, not only are you dealing with communication from the factory and making adjustments and whatever else, but also there's the potential of kind of what you were saying is sometimes the bigger companies, you just get bumped for one reason or another.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and even the bigger companies aren't immune to it, right? They HasLab has had to push stuff back.
Right.
But we feel really, really good where we are with this piece. You talked about the scale of it and everything. It's just over 3 feet long, and the Mattel version was about 2.5 feet long, I believe. So just adding, just a little over 6 inches to this thing and scaling it up proportionally, it's a massive piece. And the astronauts, we'll have some pictures of the O-ring astronaut figures that we'll be releasing here in the next few days.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go, Ace.
I had to pull it up. It's amazing.
Yeah. It just and really it weighs only like maybe about 13, 14 pounds. It does not weigh a lot, but It is a very solid, sturdy construction. And and that's another thing that's kind of delayed us a little bit too, because we wanted to keep the playability from the Mattel piece where you can exactly do the scout ship. Mm-hmm. And so we were fussing with the scout ship, the way that it was connecting to the engine housing and stuff, having a few issues with the molds there. And when you're cutting steel, when you're in these final test shots and you're cutting steel, that takes time. And so one of the things that we're working with right now, and these are the kind of details that we're working our way through. It looks beautiful, but when you let that sit, the capsule, just droops a little bit, and the engine housing droops a little bit, and we don't want that. We want it very snug and sturdy so that it just, when it's sitting on your shelf, it looks like the closest to the real thing as possible. So yeah, so we're making those tweaks, and then there's there's the doors on the transport module. We want to make sure that those are sturdy. We don't want those breaking in the middle of the process. So we've done some redesigning as we've gone along, but still, like I said, we're looking at a potential delay of only like 3 to 4 months. Having this ready by February of 2026. So.
Well, and that's pretty amazing considering, one, the size of this thing,
Yeah.
but also, you mentioned the capsule. If the tolerances on the door fit, the different modules fitting together, like they have to be just right, or things like that can happen. Or if that door, doesn't shut flush, is it snug enough? Like, and on a piece this large, that has to have been a source of constant, not frustration, but just constant awareness.
Sure, constant awareness. I mean, that's the way to put it, is because, are we, we take our first pass at it. Are we 90% there? Are we 95% there? What if we made this tweak? Would that get us to 100%? It's a lot of back and forth like that to try and ensure that a collectible like this, lives up to, the Space 1999 name, and lives up to the kind of quality that we want to provide for the collectors, and of course what they would expect for the kind of price that they're spending for this.
Absolutely. Well, but as you said, even I think the collectors, because I do believe this will have a reach beyond just the Space 1999 fans, because it is such a remarkable toy piece.
Thank you, Dave.
But it's also a matter of, when you look at something like this, it almost transcends price a bit, to a point where people are like, no, I just want to have that.
Yeah.
And you don't want a centerpiece like this to be disappointing in any way.
Right. And again, kind of marrying those two thoughts together, when you look at this in scale comparison to other products that are this size or larger, the price where we're coming in is incredibly fair.
Yes.
Anderson has been a great partner working with us. ITV Studios has been a great partner working with us. So we've been able to bring this to the collectors at a price that we feel is, some may feel the pinch in the wallet. I get it. I understand.
Oh, yeah.
But we're not talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah. And look, if this were a prop replica type item, which it is darn close to looking like, it would be up in that price point.
You're right.
You can easily point to examples of items like this that are up in the couple thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But that aren't toys and aren't fun.
Right. And and we're really happy and proud of the box art as well. We really wanted to grab the nostalgia of that Mattel artwork and everything, and we just feel like it's a display piece in and of itself, to be totally honest.
So when you're dealing with little things like, okay, we've got to adjust the fit of the capsule or one thing or another, were there any times where you would fix one thing and then it had an unintended consequence of another thing was now misaligned or not quite what you wanted?
That may have happened early on when we were getting through some of the first prototypes and stuff like that. Up to this stage, no.
Good. So you're past that point.
Yeah. We got through that, and even there, kudos to my partner Craig and Ace at Ramen Toys for being on top of those things and keeping track of it. Because you're right, there could easily be a domino effect of fixing one thing, and you never know about what that final domino is going to be until you get down the road. But no, they were on top of everything, and so yeah, we're at this place where we're getting our next pre-production sample together now. That's what Ace is holding. And we'll be reviewing that with the licensor, and then we'll be, if everything checks and everything's good, then the factory is going to get humming.
Well, and this, for anybody watching this on YouTube, this image here is the one that I really look at, and I'm just like, man, that looks like a toy. Because the plat, versus what we looked at last time we talked, this has that nice finished plastic. This looks like something you can pick up and zoom around. Like, it just has that look to
it. Right on, man. I'm with you. Yeah.
it.
I love it.
Well, cool. So will you have, because you're going to be at Joe Lanta.
Going to be at Joe Lanta.
End of September.
Yeah.
You're gonna have. You think you'll have anything else to share about the Eagle?
I'll have the N.U.K.E.S there with me.
Okay.
Our previous sample is over in London right now. There's a Thunderbird 60th anniversary and Space 1999 50th anniversary museum exhibition over there, and so that piece is being displayed there. And then, like I said, you saw Ace holding the pre-production sample. So I don't have anything really to share. So at Joe Lanta, I'll be focused on the N.U.K.E.S, and then we'll see what early next year brings, because there'll be some shows in the spring and summer that we've talked about getting out to and bringing an inventory of these to display and to potentially sell. So,
well, and then that's Toy Lanta time. So,
yeah, exactly.
Maybe just keep your eyes open. Well, cool. I'm glad we got the update on the Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking amazing. What is the progress on the variants of the Eagle?
Coming along smoothly too. I think probably the only one that we're really in discussion about right now is the Dinky.
Yeah.
We're just kind of going back and forth. Of course, we're not going to be able to cast the metallic, within the plastic. So we're having the conversation right now of like, we're going to cast it in green, and then what's the application? Do we want to just kind of like do a clear finish with metallic flake in it, or do we want to do a metallic green? Whatever we're doing, the conversation really is about the expediency of keeping it a very thin, kind of, we don't want it to get too thick. We don't want the capsule hood not to close, and we don't want the capsule not to slide onto the body and things like that. So there's a lot of discussion about the production of that while we're making the decisions on it as well. So that's really the only thing that that we're kind of tossing back and forth right now. But Ace, like I said, Ace has been on top of things, and anybody who knows what he's done with the quality of stuff that he's turned out for ramen, we're in good hands for sure.
Well, that's something I hadn't even thought about, is you've got the tooling, you've got the steel for these molds and everything, but once you start using different plastics, that can potentially, you can run into issues there, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's not a one size fits all.
Right.
Thing, right. So when we went into this, Craig and I sat down and walked through with Ace, and it was just kind of like, well, this needs to be ABS, and this needs to be PVC, and this needs to be, reinforced here. It was a very thorough kind of, let's map this thing out from nose to tail, and let's figure out what pieces are going to work best where, and what's going to be most durable. And
well, and that's a different process now than, for those of us who've been collecting toys since the 70s or 80s or whatever, all of that is a very different process now, because back then it really was like the idea of something being durable for decades to come just wasn't there. They were just making it out of whatever plastic worked for the project.
Right.
It's a very different world now, which is why so much of what we collect in modern times, the plastics do seem very different from what we had when we were kids. It's because they have to be.
Sure. And the argument definitely can be made that, that some plastics back then were, sturdier and more durable, but yeah, you're right. They were not designed to last for the long haul. They just needed to last long enough for the kid to enjoy them for, a few months, a year or so.
Or to stick a firecracker in the O-ring and blow it to pieces.
Exactly. Yeah, those GI Joes with Kung Fu grip went up in a flash. But
Right.
yeah, so it was always like one of those bankable kind of things. Like, okay, let's stockpile this, and then come next Christmas, here's what's going to happen.
Mhm.
I know that there were toy collectors, when I was a younger kid, but there was nothing to the scale and to the magnitude of what collectability has become, in the modern market. And so you're right. I mean, when somebody walks in and they're dropping 36, $40 on a 7-inch action figure, they expect some quality out of that. So we feel really confident, with Zyka and Giant Leap and Ramen, that we're coming from the collector community.
Yeah.
And so we're being very mindful and on top of what we want to, provide for the other collectors out there.
Yeah, if you'd asked any of the engineers at Hasbro or Mattel in like 1984, so what's this figure going to look like in 2025? They would have just laughed. Like, what are
Yeah.
you even talking about?
What do you mean?
Well,
Keeping it on
cool.
the card? What?
Yeah. Well, speaking of talking about the future,
Yeah.
I think that's not a bad segue to the main topic of our conversation tonight. And that is, as I said, nukes all over Instagram. The hype is huge. The O-ring revival fans,
Yeah.
this is the buzz is just there. So let's just dig right into it.
Let's do it.
Uh, nukes.
Nukes.
Where, first of all, this is why it's standing out so much, very different from all of the other O-ring projects that are going on right now, which I think is great, because we're really getting this whole new, really not world, but set of worlds that will potentially go together, but nukes stand out. What inspired you to go with these colors and these styles?
Sure. So the thing is, and I had spoken to somebody else about this on another podcast. I'm of the 12-inch GI Joe generation. Adventure Team was my jam. I loved that, and that was kind of like my last hurrah with GI Joe, right? But when they came out with the 3 3/4, I was really I was intrigued, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really was really amazed at the world building that they were doing with it. And everything made sense to me. The sensibilities of the scale of it, with the vehicles and the play sets and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, like this is all clicking and working. So when they finally started to come out with some of the neon stuff, I flipped out. I've always been a huge fan of just neon fluorescent colors. I grew up with Kirby blacklight posters in my in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Captain America, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, the whole bit. So I've always loved it as an application to toys. So Toxic Crusaders and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and as all of that was starting to, even just Nickelodeon doing what they were doing with neon stuff on their products in the 90s. It just hit me, and I just started loving it. I picked up a handful of like Star Brigade guys in neon, and I think is it Bio Warriors, GI Joe, or is it Echo Warriors? I can't.
Eco Warriors or
Eco
Echo
Warriors.
Warriors.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a handful of those guys that have kind of served as my inspiration. So over the years, I just knew that it was although garish, it was just a color palette that I wanted to work with. I was at a convention and saw a cosplayer who had built some dystopian armor out of street signs and license plates. And I was like, holy crap, that's cool. I like the way that looks. I like the vibe of that. So, park that away in the back of the brain. And then I don't know if you remember this, when we were talking on the original podcast months ago about the O-ring figures for
Mm-hmm.
the Eagle.
Yes.
I had contacted you afterwards, And I said, kind of, what's your take on the O-ring revival and the O-ring movement, dead or alive? And you were very generous and very forthcoming with your opinion on it. So everybody can blame you now that I'm pursuing this. I just kind of felt things were starting to come together. And, I am, I love Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Yes. Yes.
And so just the whole, mashing of titles and names into the anagram or making words out of, of the letters and stuff like that just kind of fell into place. And you can't go through the 80s and 90s without some Cold War hysteria and stuff like that. So N.U.K.E.S just kind of clicked one day. I was like, it just sounds like a really good name to give these characters, just as a toy line. They can each be individuals and have their own factions that they belong to, but as an identifiable real world item, N.U.K.E.S just sounded like it had the right vibe. So
well, and it's so catchy. It's so N.U.K.E.S, it's quick, but it's powerful. It's shocking that it was not used, but also I think maybe back then it would have been a little too like, oh, you can't call this N.U.K.E.S because that was such a threat back in the day. Like it really was a daily
yeah,
thing back in the day. Nuclear war, like it was a running concern.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're not wrong, and again, I think too, kind of those sensibilities, right? You're not gonna try and market something like that to, a kid in a family, with an afternoon cartoon show or anything like that.
I don't know if you can do it with RoboCop, you can do it with anything.
Right, Alpha Command, like I was like, okay, whatever, fine. But yeah, I was I kind of felt like it would be the toy line that would be out there for the collectors if that market were there at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So the young guys would be getting their GI Joes, and older guys like us and everything would be, getting the N.U.K.E.S and everything, so there's those certain sensibilities that you would apply to a children's toy market that you don't have to worry about and apply to, an adult collector's market.
Right.
Yeah.
So lots of bright
Wildfire.
colors.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I
no,
was
I was
just
just
gonna,
going to say tons of bright colors.
yeah.
Clearly post-apocalyptic dystopian future. As you said, the road signs. I love, well, the road signs, the tires. I think of the Flatiron had like a tire for a
Yeah,
knee
he's got
pad.
a little tire amulet thing on his shoulder up there. He's got the tire knee pad.
So, and it's these bits and pieces of scrap that they've put together to create these looks. And it totally makes sense.
Thanks.
So
Thanks.
what was the process? Because you've got the world in your head. You've got the idea of sort of a general theme for these characters, what they're going to be. But then once you get down to business and have to start thinking of characters, what's that process like for you?
So I'm old school, so it all starts with pencil and paper, right? So I just kind of like start thinking of the things that I'm really excited about and I want to see in the line. Okay, so I knew that the signage was going to be kind of the centerpiece of it. I knew that the neon colors were going to be the centerpiece of it. I knew that the weaponry was going to have some homemade matter to it. In this world, there are firearms and there are guns, but there's nothing that's readily accessible, right? So
Right.
the figures will come with an Uzi, which is very 90s, and a Beretta, very 90s. But it's one of those things that like Flatiron had to have. I wanted, Flatiron. His name came to me because he's part of the New York crew. Nice New York Command Enforcement or whatever. And I wanted, he just had to have like a gigantic mallet hammer guy. You can see him
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
there.
Is that a
And
fire hydrant on top of that?
big fire hydrant, yeah,
Ah,
and and it's just welded together with a big, like bus stop street post thing. You know, the I think that's a do not cross or do not enter. Oh yes, closed, restricted area. That's his shield. So where I could, I tried to use messaging and signage that would make sense for the character themselves, and then just played around with what could potentially be the best looking color combinations to put together. With Flatiron, with his brown skin tone, with the purple uniform, with the orange pops and highlights, all of that in my mind just like really melds together these beautiful complementary colors that just, when you see these the painted samples of these guys, the prototypes, it's just amazing to see it in 3D. It's really well done.
well, I love anything that when you look at it, this is going to pop on the shelf.
Yeah,
This is going to stand out on the shelf. I've actually been reorganizing just to put my own stuff over for a minute. I'm doing a
yeah,
video of reorganizing my GI Joe classified section.
nice.
But what I didn't do a video of is I moved all of my Masters Universe Origins stuff. And as I'm moving it, I realize that Masters Universe Origins, it's all bright colors. Like as all of it, like every figure stands out as a display overall. It
Yeah,
pops out at you. Whereas the classified stuff, look, great figures, and there are a lot of that do stand out. But overall, it's that kind of military drab,
right.
and seeing something like this, your Nuke's shelf is going to pop in the room.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and kind of to that point, some of these will have, just like bright burn your retinas kind of colors, and others will, the underlying uniform, for instance, there, like if you want to go back to Whacker, you know, his blue is very, deep and muted.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that way that gives the orange and the green and the yellow an opportunity just to really stand um, off the rest of the uniform.
So tell us about Whacker here.
Okay, so Whacker is going to be glow in the dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. So again, I'm trying to hit on all those notes that made the collector's toys, the toys we're collecting now that were so special to us as kids. I'm trying to hit those same notes, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I want the neon stuff. I want all the weapon sets. I want the glow in the dark. I think the only thing that I'm missing in this first launch of this is the oversized spring loaded,
Right.
military guns and stuff like that. But I'll never say never to potentially doing that. But yeah, Whacker is part of the Chicago mob, mean old bastards, and he's been oversaturated with radiation. So he has also, with this world, we're 30 years past, whatever happened to cause this nuclear blowout, right? So there's a number of different things that have come together that caused this that have not been revealed yet. And so his enhancement is that he was super irradiated and he can control the levels of radioactive waves that he emits from his body.
Oh, nice.
So he can disorient you, or he can make you painfully sick, or he can wipe you out. Just it's all within his control how he emits his radioactive waves.
Love it. And then we've got you talking about burning the retinas, but that yellow and bright red combination again
Yeah,
just screams at you.
Yeah. Yeah, Wildfire has gotten a lot of buzz. He's one of the ones that not that I didn't think that he was a cool design, but a lot of people have given me super strong feedback on Wildfire. So he's part of the Lost Angels, Los Angeles faction, and it in my mind, in his story, he was maybe a first responder who got out there as this event was happening, and he got out there trying to do his best to to help contain things, to keep things under control. I won't go into full details, but this,
Sure.
his suit is some sort of a containment suit,
Right,
right?
right.
Because he is probably more element now than he is human.
Well, and I love the being from Los Angeles, he's got the Rodeo Drive street sign on his thigh. Like that's such a nice story touch.
Yeah, and again, you can that just the touch of the fallout shelter too.
Yeah, yeah.
This was a guy who was someplace who he was helping others. He was maybe a first responder, and yeah, he's got these little nods that, like you said, he's LA, he's a first responder, he's a firefighter for sure.
Now, when you choose a brilliant yellow like this,
Yeah.
is there any thought of, because I feel like out of all the colors used on action figures, yellow is sometimes one of the more difficult ones to match and to get right.
Yeah.
Um, is there any thought of like, okay, I know it's going to be a little extra work to get this guy this yellow, or did you have confidence of we'll get this to work?
Yeah. The conversations that I've had about it, again, it's very similar in the way of the of talking about the metallic green for the eagle, right? So he will probably be cast in like the brightest yellow that we can get, and if we can get a neon yellow, we'll give that a shot. Anything that because I would love him to be fully cast, in this
Yeah.
in this yellow
Mhm.
that I've got on. But if it's not getting there, then how smart can we be with the paint applications to really brighten this guy up? So you know, um, in that tolerance band, I've got to be a little bit more understanding and forgiving as well too. I mean, um, the action figure thing, admittedly, this is the first time I've ever gone after manufacturing action figures. Multi-articulated. I've done vinyl figures in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
And so, and that was all painted application stuff for that. So yeah, this will be an interesting learning curve. But the conversations that I've had, we feel really confident that we're gonna have a nice color representation on all the figures.
Good, good. That's good to know. Yeah, I feel like just over my years of collecting, yellow has been seems like one of the most challenging colors, especially when you have to match like paint to plastic. It
Sure.
it just seems tough.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not wrong. And I think it's one of those things too that, um, you know, again, a lot of toys when they're mass produced like that, something may be painted, black. And then they come in and they try to put a yellow application on top of it just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the assembly line, methodology of it and everything. Being a smaller independent producer and, again, wanting to be mindful of the collector's market, um, I feel confident that the factory that I've been having conversations with is going to work with me to make this what's being envisioned.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ranger,
Very
very excited about Ranger. And what I'm going to do, we're going to leave Ranger up for a second while we talk about him.
okay.
And again, I love the Dallas Fort Worth sign on the thigh there.
DFW.
So we're going to talk about him for a second, but I'm going to bring him back up because I love the art you've got behind you
Yeah.
with Ranger.
Yeah.
So tell us about this guy. Although, really, I think his story almost tells itself.
Almost tells itself, right? Yeah, Ranger. I have a total of 6 factions that are out there, right? So he's part of the Texans SINS.
Mm-hmm.
And forgive me for looking at my notes. I have to keep this right. Southern Infiltration and Neutralization Strike Force is SINS. And so yeah, as I was thinking about how in the nukes world, how the United States has been remade and remapped and everything, you know, he's like one of those guys who is dyed in the wool. He is a cowboy through and through, and he's you know he's everything that you would want to take away from your classic cowboy hero.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't take any guff. He's ready to go at it, you know, at the drop of a hat. So yeah, his kind of his story is, you know, he doesn't have necessarily any kind of like family or anything, but he really feels a connection with his other Texans. And, you know, whereas he's not maybe the leader, he is, you know, kind of constantly, he's the one who's driving the group.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
let's say that he's the Wolverine to the group's Cyclops.
I like it. I
Yeah,
like it. And that's we're looking right now, the just over your left shoulder there.
yeah,
We've got the art for Ranger, which is for whatever that's the one that's been catching my eye since we started talking. And it's fun to look at the accessories because obviously blasters, pistols, whatever, you got to have those firearms in any kind of line like this. But
yeah,
for me, the fun is to be had in the melee weapons.
yeah.
What has he got there? I see he's got the shield with the
Yeah.
interstate on it.
He's got Interstate 40 shield, and then he's just got a Texas flag, you know, from a signage or whatever. So it's just the Lone Star that's on his sword. But
Okay.
it is, you know, the up close detail of the weapons. You can see where it's bracketed together and where it has welding spots and where it's got, you know, supports added and things like that. So it's not just like a flat piece
Mm.
of you know of sword or metal. It has, you know, it has very exact you know, kind of details to it that shows you that this is pieced together as a melee weapon. Yeah. And so that's the thing with this first line and getting the Kickstarter together and wanting to get it off the ground. You know, trying to be mindful of the molds. I'm sharing a lot of molds and stuff like that.
Oh, sure, sure.
So you know, I had to put it where it kind of fit. You know, you envision this gunslinging cowboy, but what if that gunslinging cowboy not only had his gun, but he's wielding, you know, a large broadsword at the same time? So, you know, it brings in for me a little bit of that, you know, samurai element of it, you know, samurai cowboy thing, a little bit of the, um, you know, I'm trying to remember what was the movie. Um,
Well,
shoot.
well, even just thinking of like the cavalry with their swords,
Yeah,
like
yeah, there you go.
it's a reasonable
I
addition
appreciate that. Yeah,
to this kind of character.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, he's like I said, he's kind of he goes off half cocked, but when he goes off, he's not he's rarely in the wrong.
And now Overdrive, who we have saved for last.
Yeah,
So, and the first thing we see here is this alternate portrait.
yeah.
So tell us about Overdrive.
Okay, Overdrive. So out of the Detroit Steel faction, I had a character in there named Dodge, and you know, I like Dodge. I like his design, but I just wasn't sure if he needed to be in the Detroit faction or you know, if I needed to reutilize him somewhere else. But I'd already put him out there and announced him, right? Um, so I'm watching an old Thundar cartoon one day,
Oh man.
and Gemini comes up, and you know, Gemini's the guy at the beginning who
Mm-hmm.
has beautiful Jack Kirby design. You know, just the the helmet moves, the head turns, the face reveals, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I need to homage that. I need to include that with this initial launch. And so that's what you'll get here. There will be the blue visor will hinge and will cover the one side of the head
Oh,
when it's
wow.
facing forward, and
Yeah.
then you turn it, and so that blue part comes down, covers up the face. You turn it, the other head on the other side is revealed. You turn that to reveal it on the
Oh,
front.
that's great. Oh, and that's so like really almost more of an 80s gimmick than a 90s, but I just absolutely, that's great.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah,
love how the arms, you can see the skin difference on the arms.
yeah, yeah. So again, here this is both Dodge and Overdrive. Overdrive was a name that I had, and I had a few character sketches for him, but it wasn't kind of clicking. But I knew, and I didn't know if there was going to be any relationship between, like if they were going to be brothers or anything between Overdrive and Dodge. But I did know that, like, I wanted to use a nanovirus infection. And so these guys are enhanced. They are on the side of good, but they are kind of constantly in turmoil with this virus in their bodies that they're starting to keep it from taking over.
Right, trying to keep it at bay.
Keep it at bay, exactly. And so with Overdrive, one of the reasons I wanted to bring him there was that to play up that part of the nanovirus of like there is this struggle of being good, being bad, and this gives the opportunity to really visualize that in the toy itself, and show that he's a normal looking dude when he's got everything under control, but when he starts to lose it, the nanovirus side takes over and it morphs him. So
I
kind of like
believe.
an Incredible Hulk kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Something sets him off. He goes on his tear, and then once he finally settles down and calms back down and regains control, the normal side returns.
So that's kind of an overview of what we're going to be looking at. Let's dig into, well, first of all, we know that the Kickstarter is going to take a little more time due to what's going on with the Eagle.
Right. Yeah.
But let's
kicking the start of this. I was shooting for this, honestly, the weekend of Jolanta, and with wanting to make sure that we stay in tune with the delivery of this thing in Q1 of the Eagle in Q1. I just wanted to go ahead and push this back. Reason being is that, I understand that collectors put their money out there, and I understand that, that they want this and they want it now. I want to get it to them. I don't want anybody to think that I've got any sort of like, that I'm distracted by something else.
Right.
So I don't want the Eagle people thinking that this thing's not going to happen because Tim's off, building his nukes army and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing that back. I know that it'll probably be, into 2026 before I start it, but I've mapped out and planned out plenty of social media interaction and, more stuff to reveal between now and then to keep everybody, knock on wood, interested. So,
well, and that's a very responsible decision, because what we see from I love independent toy makers, but what we often see is they get excited about what they're doing.
Yeah.
They get a little bit ahead of themselves, and we see too many announcements and not enough product.
Yeah.
Or we see, like you said, Project 1 isn't done and Project 2 is underway. And you're like, well, wait a minute, what's going on with Project 1? And I appreciate the discipline to say, no, we're gonna wait until we're ready to do this.
Well, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that, because it was a very hard decision to come to, because like you mentioned, I feel just incredibly grateful to everyone who has responded to nukes and has been, just been so supportive of what this has the potential to become. And the thing is I don't want to let the Eagle guys down. I don't want to let the Nukes guys down.
Yeah.
I think if I were to try and rush at both of these at the same time, I don't want to end up screwing up everything. So yeah, I appreciate that. I'm stepping back from Nukes for just on the production side of it. The promotion and everything will still continue to happen. I have a really good friend of mine, Paul Story, who's an Eisner award-winning author, comic book author, and I've been talking with him, and he's been giving me some great Nukes ideas and everything. So there might be some I won't say a comic book, but let's say that there's some comic strips or comic images that are going to be rolling out here in the next few months.
A narrative to
A
follow
narrative.
along
There you
with.
go. There you go. To help fill in the gap. And really, ideally, what I would love to do is that by the time I get ready to kick this off, to have enough of a story put together. The little promo comics you used to get.
Yeah.
I'd love to include a little promo. Yeah.
One of those little like mini comics or ash cans or
Yeah,
whatever.
one of those 2x3. Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah.
To me, when you're and a lot of the independent companies doing product right now are doing full on comic books, and I think that's awesome. It's great because it's a very familiar and engaging way to get the fans into the world.
Yeah.
But just that little mini comic that would be like taped to the card back in an action figure. So I love that stuff. Well, going back to Masters Universe Origins.
Yeah.
That's what they've been doing
Exactly.
with those mini comics. I love them. I love them. I think they're such a
and
good
they did the
marketing
same.
tool.
They did the same with superpowers too.
Yeah. So absolutely great thing to be doing. So you will be at Joe Lanta this coming weekend. Because this will go up a couple days from now. So by the time people are seeing this, it's going to be this weekend happening. And we just I can't believe it's right around the corner.
I know.
So you'll have a little presentation there, stuff for people to look at.
Absolutely, yeah.
But for right now, something that you and I talked about is giving the people the opportunity to maybe get their hands on a little bit of Nukes merchandise in the very near future.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're going to do a Nukes shirt giveaway on the Needless Things YouTube channel. That's right, the one that you are wearing right now.
Right there.
So for anybody listening to this, wherever you get your podcasts, you will have to go to the Needless Things YouTube channel to enter this, because all we're going to do, leave a comment on this video, and we're going to wait till the weekend of Joe Lanta, and Tim and I are going to sit down together at Joe Lanta and randomly pick a comment, and whoever left the winning comment will get we will ship you a free Nukes shirt, and you'll be one of the only people in the world to have a Nukes t-shirt. Mm-hmm. One of the first pieces of merchandise from this toy line. That's kind of awesome. So leave a comment on this video, and Tim and I will do a little. We'll throw everything into one of those internet Wheel of Fortune type deals.
I love that. Yeah.
And then we'll pick a winner, and you'll get a Nukes t-shirt.
Let's do it.
So can you give us any what will your presence be at Joe Lanta? What can the people expect from you?
So I will have at Joe Lanta the 6 characters that are in the initial the primary Kickstarter goal.
Okay.
So the fact that I've got 6 factions of in this Nukes world, and I broke it up into 4 waves, 4 stretch goals. So it'll be
okay.
Yeah. So it'll be the primary goal of 6 characters. stretch goal of 6, stretch goal of 6, stretch goal of 6.
Ah,
And
nice.
so each character in the wave is representative of one of the factions. So you'll have wave one, that's the primary goal, will be, New York, LA, Detroit, Texans, Fallen. So they're all covered there. The reason I'm breaking it up like that is that I couldn't I couldn't find a way to put it out there that somebody would be like, "Oh my God, I'm all in on Texas,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
all of Texas, but I don't care about, New York."
Right.
And I'm just not at a scale, or a capability of breaking these out individually and being able to sell them as their own individual, units kind of thing.
Well, look, even when you look at something like McFarlane's starting lineups, like he doesn't put out a whole team at a time. It's
Right.
all broken up by waves because that's how you have to do stuff. It's
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, exactly. And so like I said, primary goal, 6 figures. I will have the prototypes of those at the show, and eBerry Studio. Man, they did my digital sculpts. They printed the figures for me, and they look amazing. They absolutely look amazing. And I will keep my fingers crossed. I won't give too much of it away right now, but a couple of them will be painted, and you'll, if you know Matt LaCroix,
Oh, yes.
he's taken it on, man. This guy has been a rock star. He's like, don't worry, brother, I've got you covered. He painted our astronauts for the Eagle.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I wasn't going to reach out to him because I knew the deadline was going to be really tight for Joe Lanta, and he said, "You send me a couple of figures, and I've got you taken care of." So yeah, I will have all 6 figures there. A couple of them will be painted. I will have a display showing the remaining lineup of the other characters in stretch goal 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll go from there. And I hope everybody will come out, enjoy shopping around Joe Lanta, and will check out our stuff at the booth. And yeah, I'm excited about seeing you there face to face.
Yeah.
This will be a great opportunity to catch up with you and chat even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as I tell everybody, anytime we're talking about whether it's Joe Fest, Toy Lanta, Joe Lanta, whatever,
Yeah.
the fact that we have the opportunity now to walk up to toy creators and have conversations with them is amazing.
Yeah.
So I encourage anybody watching this, listening, whatever, when you get to Joe Lanta or any of these conventions, talk to these creators because like thinking back to 10-year-old me, the idea that I could have talked to somebody who designed GI Joes is mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but beneficial for collectors and for creators to have these conversations and get the input, get the ideas. Creators need to know what collectors want, and collectors need to know how the process works, because the more educated a collector is about how toys are made, the more realistic they can be about what they appreciate about those toys.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and I love it from the standpoint too, Dave, like I had mentioned earlier, just being able to have that conversation with you that just kind of reinforced to me, I had some gut feelings on some things, but I wasn't sure about it. And, somebody as in tune with the market and the collectors as you are, that was just kind of a nice reinforcement to the
Right.
things that I was thinking.
Yeah.
And so, it's not a, yeah, I love to hear that people love nukes and stuff like that, but it's not an ego thing. It is absolutely 100% just my love and desire to want to put product out there, and I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, that the fan base first off wants it, and then secondly, what do they want out of it, and then thirdly, let's all just have fun building our nukes armies for sure.
So let me ask you this, Joe Lanta, Fantastic toy convention, a little more GI Joe oriented, but there'll be a huge mix of things there.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the great things about it is the creators that will be there, but we also have the vendors that are there.
Yeah.
If you get the opportunity to do a little walk around and see what people have to offer, what kind of stuff might you be looking for?
Well, again, like I said, in my heart of hearts, being in a GI Joe space, I'm going to have to look for some 12-inch stuff and everything, right?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but yeah, certainly, the 3 3/4 inch thing, like I said, it's got a soft spot in my heart too, especially the neon stuff. So I want to start, educating myself a little bit more and figuring out, the neon thing just may be my gateway to getting into getting into trouble, finding out more and more. But yeah, whatever I can find as far as, things that are going to, keep me passionate about, what the collector's market is, and what I'm envisioning as, not only this project but projects down the road. There's no telling, what I'll look for, what I'll find. But yeah, I know that I'm going to walk away. I'm only packing my suitcase half full, because the other half I'll have to have space on the way back for sure.
Well,
Sure.
and that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. One of the vendors there, Fantastic Toys, has already shared that they have a number of major Matt Mason pieces, and I've never seen any of that stuff in person.
Right, yeah, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They've got a play set and a vehicle that they shared on Facebook. I believe they have more than that,
Okay.
but just the opportunity just to see some of that stuff in person, because I've always been a huge fan of the Outer Space Men.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to be able to see, that original line
Mm-hmm.
is very exciting. And that's the thing about, any of these toy conventions, is you're going to see things you've never seen before. You're going to see stuff that you want that's on your list or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see other stuff that you've never even heard of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I
Yeah.
love when I just find the most outrageous stuff. I mean, I even love that we're to the point where, people are loving knockoffs of things and
Oh
bootlegs,
yeah.
getting into collecting all those.
I just got, actually, let me show you this.
Yeah.
Because it's still sitting right here from when we talked about it on the show. Are you familiar with Dave Healy? Healy Made?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my most thrilling toy right now. I just got his X-Raider figure,
Nice.
which, obviously is the X-Ray Man from the Adventure People, inspired by that.
Yeah.
But just a beautiful figure.
That's fantastic.
And now I'm just, and so these popped up. There's a website called 16bit.com that is just fantastic for, it's a lot of Star Wars stuff, but it's a lot of independent toys too. And he posted this, and I was like, I got to go buy it. But then after I bought this, Healy posted more versions of this. He did some metallic ones. He did a blue glow in the dark one, which I ordered.
Okay.
Just, and that's like you said, it's not really a knockoff because it's an original sculpt, it's original tooling, but it is combining Boba Fett, Darth Vader, Cobra Commander, and a little bit of Grand Moff Tarkin, honestly.
Yeah.
But this, I'm getting thrilled with this kind of stuff lately.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's beautiful. I love that. Now, did he do that? Did he do a robot piece as well?
So there's that one.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of stuff he's done that isn't currently on his website, because it's mostly, he just has what's available now. He doesn't really have an archive section.
Yeah.
He's got this, which is the full color version of that figure.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
With a little cape and everything.
That's great.
But he has also done, well, how he first came to my attention years ago, he was doing figures that were wrestler bodies with Star Wars character heads.
Yeah.
And they were a little outside of my price range, but I admired them from afar for years.
Mm-hmm.
And now it looks like he's doing Safubi versions of those.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So I don't know if I missed it or if it hasn't hit yet or what, but the first Safubi one I've seen, it's a green and purple wrestler body with a hammerhead Star Wars head.
Love it.
And I like I said, I don't know if I missed it. I don't know if he's teasing it and it's coming out later, but that's part of the fun of once you find an independent toy maker that you're like, oh, I'm interested in this. You got to keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
You know,
What's next?
right, right.
I
Well,
love it.
Tim, it has been absolutely awesome talking to you tonight. Before we go,
Yeah.
where can we follow you online?
Okay, so Facebook and Instagram, Giant Leap Toys.
Easy enough.
And that's me.
And you will be live in person at Joe Lanta.
That's right. Don't miss it.
The weekend of September 26th through the 28th. And that is at the Gas South Arena in Duluth. If you've not bought your tickets, go ahead and buy them because it is an awesome show. Yes, it is Joe-centric, but they've got everything there. It's Joe themed, but it's a toy show. If you go, you're going to find some toys you want.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. And I look forward to meeting in person finally in just a few days here.
Absolutely, Dave. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right. We'll see you there.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.